You know, I think the big question every one of you have to answer for the next year at least, and maybe even a couple years, is we had been in a environment where the Fed and the Treasury were providing an amazing tailwind to investing, right? Liquidity bubble, we can call it what you want, but you had monster fiscal stimulus and monster monetary stimulus. And that's coming to an end, right? Biden's going to have no more stimulus. And the Fed can't keep rates as low as they've been, and they can't keep pumping in money because we've got inflation. And inflation hurts the working class and the middle class, and it's really politically ugly. And so they're kind of stuck. And so those tailwinds become headwinds. And so this culture that we've created of speculative gambling in lots of ways on growth stocks, on private equity, on venture, on baseball cards, on NFTs and crypto, all has to get repriced. And that's happening, and it's happening really fast. One thing about markets, they happen really fast these days. So Robinhood, which was everyone's darling, is down 86%. That's a beatdown, right? Crypto, which is my baby in lots of ways, we're 50% off the highs on the best cryptos, 60, 70 on some of the altcoins. And so in some of these areas, you've already had big corrections. The U.S. alone has lost about $7.5 trillion, $8 trillion of wealth in this last bit of time. $8 trillion of wealth. That probably will slow consumption going forward. The Fed has a model about 15 basis points per trillion, so it's over 1% of GDP growth coming off in the next 12 months just from this last 8 weeks. Think about that. So the wealth effect is going to hit. It's going to be much cheaper to buy a table in a nightclub in Miami in about 2 months. Right? You know, like there's lots of crypto wealth, there's lots of young wealth here, and they're like, ooh, my account's not as high as it was. Maybe that $7,000 bottle of vodka, I could go to the store and buy one for $70 and sit around with my friends and drink it before we go to the club. And so that's what happens, right? So, but we're going through this, and what happens is every rich guy in those years when it's just buy the dip, you get bailed out of your mistakes, and you feel pretty good. And even if you turn bearish, now you'll sell a little bit, but lots of liquid. You wake up and you're like, I'm still way too long a market that's not going up. And so what you're going to see now is what we saw yesterday. You're going to see big sell-offs and then vicious short covering rallies. Bear markets are hard to trade. They're hard to invest in. And then the market rolls back over until we reach a new equilibrium. And maybe Robinhood's found its equilibrium at 85%. I actually think crypto has a lot of good things going for it. You know, so what are the 3 good things going for crypto? The venture side of crypto raised like $10 billion just recently. And so there's lots of dry powder on the venture side. The big companies like ours, right? We did a $500 million convert in late November, early December. But our big competitors, if it's FTX or New York Dig, also raised a lot of capital. And so none of the kind of keystone players are at economic risk. And institutions, if it's state pension funds, universities, are moving into the space. And so they're seeing this as a buying opportunity. Right? Crypto is really 2 different things. We call it crypto, but you've got Bitcoin, which is in my mind, digital gold store of value, great hedge against the debasement of currency. You had Michael Saylor, he probably can talk Bitcoin around anybody, but that's a story. And I think it's a real story, and I think we're in the accumulation area.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I think Bitcoin is probably 30,000 to 50,000 for the time being, right? It's not going to race ahead right away until there's more clarity on how this economic situation plays out, but there's certainly people willing to buy it. The more interesting story to me is this revolution of what we call Web3, the Internet of Value Exchange. And you're seeing that explode. I was at Time Magazine on Thursday. We have a Galaxy Time Metaverse Index, and I met the head of media there. And it was shocking to me how well-versed he was in the NFT space. Not just him, his whole team. And their plan, it was way ahead of where I would have assumed it was. I was like, damn, I got to keep studying. It's brutally hard to keep up with what's happening. And so every company we talk to that aren't crypto companies, right, that are healthcare companies or media companies, are barreling into crypto and figuring out how is it going to change their intersection with consumers. And then on the asset management side, you know, my team has 80 meetings this week with guys like you looking at the various funds. We have venture funds and metaverse funds and long-short crypto funds. And so we're now an asset class. And so to me, and I told my team this yesterday, our 2022 is build, 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 right? Because crypto's still young, right? Ethereum didn't exist 6 years ago. Bitcoin's 12 and a half years old. The whole project really kicked off 2.5 years ago. And so it needs better user interface, user experience from the consumer side. It needs better pipes. The blockchains have to go faster and be more reliable. Like, we're just getting to prime time. And so I think 2022 for us is going to be a year of building and building and building relationships with investors. I think there'll be lots of volatility and plenty to trade, but I think we're going to move to a less speculative economy, not just crypto, globally, because it's not as much fun when the fire hose isn't on.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much, much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.